Welcome back, class 10, your history class. Today we will start chapter 14, United Nations Organization. Well, the United Nations Organization is an international organization including almost all sovereign states in the world. It means that United Nations Organization is an international organization where almost all the countries in the world are members. It was established to maintain world peace and secure the economic, social, and political conditions under which this can be maintained. So, in this chapter, we have the objectives and the purpose of the United Nations and the principal organs of the United Nations, how these organs works rather. Okay, first, the objectives and the purposes of the United Nations. The preamble and Article 1 of the Charter lay down the objectives and purposes of the United Nations. They are as follows. Number 1, to save succeeding generations, means the coming generations, from the scourge of war. There will not be any further world wars. The world has seen enough. To maintain international peace and security and to take effective measures for removal of threats to the peace. Not only maintaining international peace and security, but to take effective measures to remove threats of peace. To develop friendly relations among nations and to achieve international cooperation in solving problems of economic, social, and cultural character. So, solving problems of economic, social, cultural problems and develop friendly relations among nations. Number 4, to establish conditions under which justice and respect for international law and international treaties can be maintained. So, conditions will be there, conditions should be established where international treaties, international laws should be respected. Each country will respect international treaties and laws. To create faith in human rights and the dignity and worth of human persons. So, to creating faith in human right, to creating dignity and the worth of humans as persons, to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. So, social progress should be there, better standards of life should be there. Then, to harmonize and coordinate the actions of nations in order to attain the aims which we have discussed. The objectives and purposes tell us about the United Nations principles also. In order to achieve the objectives, the United Nations required to act according to these principles. And what are these principles? That all states are sovereign and equal. States over here means countries. The member states should fulfill the obligations faithfully, which means that they should settle their disputes by peaceful and amicable way and not by war, and should give the United Nations every assistance in any action it takes. So basically, this is the objectives and purpose of the United Nations. Okay. Now, principal organs of the United Nations. The principal organs of the United Nations are General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, International Court of Justice, and a Secretariat. First is the General Assembly. First, organ is the General Assembly. Composition. All members of the United Nations are members of the General Assembly. Very, very important. So, all the countries which are the members of the United Nations are also the members of the General Assembly. The Assembly must meet once in a year in September. In addition, special sessions may be convened, that means special sessions may be called by the Secretary General at the request of the Security Council or of a majority of the members of the United Nations. Special sessions can be called. It is a kind of parliament of nations. Each member shall not have more than 5 representatives in the General Assembly. However, each state has 1 vote. That means each country has 5 members in the General Assembly, but while voting, each state can have only 1 vote. That means 5 members will not be able to vote, only 1 vote per nation. How decisions are taken? The decisions on important questions shall be made by 2/3 of the majority. These questions include the elections of the non-permanent members of the Security Council, number 1, the admission of new members of the United Nations, the suspensions and expulsion of members, budgetary questions and recommendations regarding the maintenance of international peace and security. Decisions on the questions are made by majority of the members present and voting. So this is very simple. And what are the functions of the General Assembly? The functions of the Assembly may be studied under the following. Number 1, deliberative functions. The Assembly may discuss any question relating to peace and security. It has the power to make recommendations for the purpose of promoting international cooperation in political field as well as economic, social, cultural and health field. This is number 1 function. Number 2 is supervisory functions. The General Assembly regulates the working of other organs and agencies of the United Nations. It receives and considers reports from the Security Council and other organs of the United Nations. The Secretary General is required to make an annual report to the General Assembly on the work of the United Nations. So this is its supervisory function. Third is financial functions. The General Assembly considers and approves the budget of the United Nations. Fourth is electoral functions. The Assembly elects the non-permanent members of the Security Councils and the members of the Economic and Social Council. It appoints the Secretary General upon recommendations of the Security Council. Members of the International Court of Justice are elected by the General Assembly and by the Security Council. So, what does it mean? It means the Assembly elects non-permanent members of the Security Council, number 1, and the members of the Economic and Social Council. It appoints Secretary General upon the recommendations of the Security Council. Security Council is another important organ. Members of the International Court of Justice are chosen by the General Assembly and the Security Council. Amending means changing the UN Charter. The Assembly has the power to amend the Charter. Amendments adopted by a vote of 2/3 of the members of the Assembly, not merely of those present and voting, need to be ratified by 2/3 of the member states, including all permanent members of the Security Council. So how UN Charter can be amended or changed? The Assembly has the power to amend the Charter. Amendment is done by vote, obviously, of 2/3 of the members of the Assembly, need to be ratified, means ratification is necessary by 2/3 of the member states, including all permanent members and the Security Council. So this is quite a long process. Functions under Uniting for Peace resolution. Now, with the adaptation or adoption of the Uniting of Peace Resolution in the year 1950, the position of the Assembly has become considerably strengthened. How? If the Security Council is unable to reach a decision because of lack of unanimity, that is unity, among the permanent members, the General Assembly can deal with the problem. It can make recommendations for collective measures, including the use of armed forces in case of aggression or breach of peace. So, it is a very powerful body, you can understand. So, next comes the Security Council. What is the composition? The Security Council is often described as the enforcement or executive wing of the United Nations. It has the basic responsibility. What responsibilities it has? For maintaining peace and security. The council consists of 15 members, 5 being permanent members. These 5 permanent members are known as the Big Five. That means China, France, Russia, Britain, and the United States of America. And 10 non-permanent members are elected by General Assembly by two-thirds majority for a term of 2 years. A retiring member is not eligible for immediate re-election. So this is the whole composition. How decisions are made? Veto power, very important. Each member of the Security Council has 1 vote. Each member over here means each country. Decision on procedural matters, that means day-to-day proceedings, are made by affirmative vote, means yes vote, of 9 members. Decisions on all other matters shall be made by affirmative vote, means yes vote, of 9 members, including concurring votes of permanent members. A negative vote by a permanent member is known as a veto vote. This means the council is powerless to act in the face of a veto vote. That means if a permanent member gives a negative vote, it's a veto vote, that decision will not be taken. This means the council is powerless to act in the face of a veto vote by any permanent members. But abstention means being absent from voting by a permanent member does not amount to a veto vote. The meetings of the Security Council is held once a month. However, in emergency, the meetings can be held whenever they are needed. Powers and functions. The Charter casts upon the Security Council the primary responsibility for maintenance of international peace and security. The Council is vested with some very, very important powers. Number 1, investigatory role. The Security Council may investigate any dispute or situation which might lead to international friction. It may recommend appropriate methods of adjusting such disputes. Number 2, pacific settlement of dispute. The Security Council will ask parties to a dispute to seek solution by negotiation, mediation, arbitration, or other peaceful means such as judicial settlement. Number 3, measures not involving the use of armed forces. When none of the peaceful methods succeed, the Council may decide what other measures can be employed. These may include complete or partial interruption of economic relations. Economic relations can be interrupted. Interruption of rail, sea, air, postal, and other means of communication, and severance of diplomatic relations. Severe means cutting off of diplomatic relations. The Security Council urges the member to apply these sanctions against an aggressor. So you can understand that a Security Council is such a very, very important body of the United Nations. Military action. If all these measures prove inadequate, the Security Council may resort to military action such as operations by air, sea, or land forces supplied by the member nations. Number 5, admission of a new member. The members are admitted by two-thirds vote of the General Assembly upon the recommendations of the Security Council. Last is electoral functions. The Security Council participates in the election of the judges of the International Court of Justice, The United Nations Secretary General is appointed by the general election on the recommendation of the Security Council. And the Security Council may ask International Court of Justice on advisory opinion on any legal matter. Okay, now we come to a very important body or an important organ of the United Nations, the International Court of Justice. The International Court of Justice is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. All members of the United Nations are ipso facto parties to the statute or rules of the court. Any other states may become a party of the statute on conditions to be determined by the General Assembly upon the recommendations of the Security Council. All the member nations are the parties of the International Court of Justice. Any other non-members can become a party of the International Court of Justice, provided it will be determined by the General Assembly on recommendation done by the Security Council. Now, what is the composition? The court consists of 15 judges. The Security Council and the General Assembly each separately chooses 15 judges. Of these, those 15 persons are chosen by majority vote in both bodies are elected the judges of the court. No two judges can be nationals of the same state. No two judges can be the citizen of the same country, for obvious reasons, If two persons of the same nationality are chosen, only the elder member becomes a member of the court. The court elects the president and vice president for a term of 3 years. They may, when the term expires, be re-elected. The court has the power to appoint its registrar. The judges are elected for a 9-year term. However, they are eligible for re-election. The court is permanently in session at Hague, which is in Netherlands, but it may sit elsewhere also. What are the powers and functions? For a sitting of the court, the quorum of judges is 9, but a smaller court may sit to hear certain classes of cases. Number 1 is compulsory jurisdiction. The court possesses, that means the court has, compulsory jurisdiction in 2 ways. First, a large number of treaties provide that disputes arising under them should be submitted to the court. Secondly, the jurisdiction extends to number 1, disputes pertaining to interpretation, that means understanding of the international law, and repartition, that means compensation to be made when an international obligation is not done or breach is done against an international obligation. So this is under compulsory jurisdiction. Second is voluntary jurisdiction. That means its jurisdiction covers all the cases which the parties refer to it. Number 3 is advisory opinion. The General Assembly, the Security Council, and other organs of the United Nations may request the court to give advisory opinion on legal questions. Number 4, codification of international law. The court played and still plays an important role in codification of international laws. It requires a thorough examination of international customs, judicial decisions, and general principles of law. Codifies, that means it is written down, explained in a particular matter. It is not vague. Then, evolving procedures for peaceful settlements of disputes. The court may suggest appropriate methods of settlement of disputes. Now, enforcement of judgment. The court has been able to resolve most of the disputes which has come up before it. The disputes related to matters such as fishing rights, compensation to be paid in case of aerial incidents, and asylum, that is protection, given by the government to foreigners who left the country. Each member of the United Nations has an obligation to comply, to listen to the decision of the court in any case to which it is a party. If any party fails to fulfill its obligation, the other party may have recourse of the Security Council. That means they can, if one party does not fulfill the obligation, the other party can go to the Security Council. The Council decides upon the measures to be taken to give an effect to the judgment. Now we come to three other organs. Economic and Social Council. The Economic and Social Council consists of 54 members elected by the General Assembly. They are elected for a term of 3 years. If the object of Security Council is to free the world from fear, the object of the Economic and Social Council is to free it from want. The Economic and Social Council initiates studies and reports on all matters within its concern, and their matters of concern are economic, social, cultural, educational, health, and other related matters. Then comes Trusteeship Council. The Trusteeship Council was created to supervise the administration of 11 trust territories which were not fully self-governing. All these territories have become independent or joined independent countries. The Trusteeship Council was suspended in 1994 with the independence of Palau, the last UN trust territory. The Secretariat. The Secretariat comprises a Secretary General and such other staff of the United Nations may require. The Secretary General is appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council. Just remember it. Appointed by the General Assembly on recommendation of the Security Council for a term of 5 years. He or she can be re-elected at the end of the term of the period. And what is his work? He is the Chief Administrative Officer, CEO. Chief Administrative Officer of the United Nations. The then United Nations General Mr. Kofi Annan and the United Nations shared the Centenary Nobel Prize for working for a better organized and more peaceful world in 2001. Not needed. Okay. So, the Secretary General may bring to the attention of the Security Council any matter which, in his opinion, may threaten the maintenance of peace and security of the world. He is required to submit an annual report to the General Assembly on the work of the United Nations. The staff of the Secretariat is appointed by the Secretary General under regulations established by the General Assembly. So this is a small chapter, but a very important chapter. Question often comes, regularly comes in your ICSE. And in this chapter, you have to know the objectives of the United Nations, the composition and functions of the General Assembly, the Security Council, and International Court of Justice. These three bodies, you have to know the composition and functions, although I have just gone through the other three bodies like the Economic Social Council, Trusteeship Council, and the Secretariat. It is not in your syllabus for ICSE, but it's for your general knowledge. Anyway, with this we come to the end of the United Nations. Your work you all know. You have to solve the questions and answers given at the end of your chapter. That is all for today. Thank you.